welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing well today. It's our final show of 2021. It's the final show of the year that we became Above Replacement Radio, which is pretty cool. Around this time last year, we were like teasing the name.
That's true. That is very true.
What time that was.
It does give some reflection on what we did in 2021 was a pretty big year too, because our first episode of the year was 81 and we're on 168 right now. So
yeah, did
88 episodes in the whole year, which is quite a bit, and we're pretty proud of ourselves for that. History episodes.
It was our first full season doing the show.
Yeah, first full regular season, and playoffs. I know from I'm keeping stats over here. I know from after opening day to our episode after the World Series, it was 55 episodes. Mm-hmm. Like when we were at episode 55, when it was like show to be named later, we were like, wow, we've been doing this for a while. And we did all that in one like year. 7 month span this time.
Yeah.
So a big year. But anyway,
we finished the history series this year.
Yeah, we did.
We did the second, well, not the whole second half of it, but we did the last like third of it.
Yeah, we did.
That was a cool experience. We got a couple interviews. We interviewed Chris Rose, Mark Simon. We did a couple drafts.
Yeah, we did 2 drafts. Yeah, we had Nico and Bono on 3 times.
That's right. Yeah, we had the trade deadline episode.
Yeah, the trade deadline episode they came on. Guess how about that?
Yes, I guessed how about that. This was the first full year of How About That's and Slightly Alarming too. The amount of times we spent on Fangraphs doing that.
It was exhausting.
It was fun though.
It was fun. It was fun.
A cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, but yeah, like by the time it got to September 14th, I was like, it's the same guys on the hot list. It's the same guys on the cold list.
Especially it got to when it got to the point when every single show that you were like, my guy is a comeback special or a freeze over.
Yeah.
We've run out of guys here.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, I think the league is taking its course here.
Yeah. Either way, great year for us. Fun times.
Great year for Above Replacement Radio. Maybe we could do a little more reflection towards the end, but in pre-record we were talking about Hall of Fame stuff, because this is going to be a Hall of Fame themed episode based on the results of some of these off BBWAA ballots and elections, with all these different committees and such, adding some players into the Hall of Fame. And we thought it was funny. We just thought it was funny that the Golden Days committee, the committee based on baseball from 1959 to 1979 is really cocky about about 1959 to 1979. Like one of the probably the
50 to 69.
Wait,
50 to 69.
Oh, 1950 to 69. Yeah. Okay, so maybe not as bad, but still, like the 1960s baseball, it was the weakest offense. It led to
there was one really cool pitching season out of those 10 years in a decade.
Yeah,
and that was it.
It led to the lowering of the mounds and eventually the DH rule in the 70s, that's how exciting, that's how golden the days were, is they had to change the game because there was not enough action.
I'd be willing to bet if you took like lifelong baseball fans, and I don't mean our age, I mean like people who actually lived through those times, and asked them like the golden age of baseball, I would be willing to bet most of them would say any era that is not the 50s and 60s.
Right. I mean, to be fair, I would say people would generally say the golden days of baseball was like
Was when they grew up.
was whenever they were between ages of like 10 to 15.
Yeah. Still.
So for the golden days people, that was when they were 10 or 15, or while they were playing. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how the game is broken down, but yeah, the average game is 2-1. If you're, I get the 50s.
Stolen bases.
The 50s, I will say, were pretty cool,
right.
Especially in New York.
I mean, the same two teams won it every single year.
That's true. Yeah, it was
like, what if you were a 1950s baseball fan from anywhere else?
Oh yeah, that element did suck. There were good stars, but yeah, it did suck that the Yankees won 5 in a row from 49 to 53. Then it was Giants, then Dodgers,
and the
Yankees.
Dodgers left.
Yeah, Giants Yankees, left. Braves, Yankees, Dodgers. Not a lot of variety there.
No. Like, what if you were a fan of, I don't know, what if you were a Kansas City A's fan?
Yeah, Kansas City A's.
It's like, this team's gonna leave soon. We're nowhere.
Right.
Just a random team in the Midwest.
We just found it very cocky of the Golden Days Committee.
To name themselves the Golden Days Committee. Yes.
Right. I think there were other eras that were better. And I'm not even saying it had to be recent, but probably. I don't know. I like having 30 teams and expanded playoffs. It's pretty cool.
It's way better.
I like 4-game Fridays.
4-game Fridays, yeah, no. I like multiple rounds of the playoffs and not just the 2 best teams in the World Series.
Yeah, I prefer how it is now, where it's not the Yankees every year in the World Series. Like that's great for me.
Yeah. Or just not the same one team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even if it was like the Texas Rangers, they just made it to the World Series every year, it'd be like, that's what people complain about with like the NBA.
Exactly.
Not happening in Major League Baseball, thanks to playoff expansion, free agency, all that cool stuff. But the MLB was best when guys were on the same team for 19 years and making no money.
I was looking at that. I was looking at like the F4 leaders in the 50s. And you know how like if you play for the same team, like on the team section, like it'll have the the 3-letter abbreviation, but if you play for multiple teams, it'll have like the dashes across that line. There was like none of that. I think the top 7 players of the 50s were all on the same team throughout the same decade. 8 of the top 9 and let's see, 15 of the top 17 and 17 of the top 20 were all on the same team.
That's yeah.
Can you imagine how different baseball would have been if free agency existed back then?
Right. Exactly.
Or if it was just the same environment that it was, where it's like people are, looking for the most money and other teams can offer that.
Yeah, the Yankees trade Babe Ruth to make room for Lou Gehrig after his extension.
Yeah. Or it's just like the Yankees add on to it's like at the trade deadline, it's like the trade deadline, the Yankees, they have Mantle and they have Maris, and they just traded for Duke Snyder.
Right.
They're rumored to be interested in Larry Doby.
Yeah.
The Yankees would have had such an incredible team if they could take other people's players back then.
Right,
that's
exactly.
one part of it we're not considering.
Yeah, the Providence Grays, to give Old Hoss Radbourne a rest, have acquired Hugh Daly. He's on the roster. He's going to give Old Hoss a rest. Didn't need it.
You're really telling me that Ernie Banks would have been on the Cubs his entire career if he could have gone somewhere else?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on now.
Exactly. It is funny though, because like Bob Feller's getting traded after his 4th year with Cleveland.
Yeah, dude.
I'm
He's
telling you
like, I'm
that.
out of here. This
I'm
is
telling you
stupid.
that
I want to
much.
win some games for once.
Yeah, like they just they trade him at his
They had,
highest
I mean, to
value.
be fair, yeah, it's like his peak was before 1948. That was like kind of the end of his peak, really.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He would have like after he came back from military service, he would have been like, all right, let's do this. Any other team?
Right. Yeah. He's like, I've been through enough in Europe. Get me out of Cleveland, please.
When I was at war, I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm not in Cleveland right now.
Like, yeah,
On the
I'm so
Super
glad. I'm so glad I don't
16
have to face. I'm so glad I don't have to face Yogi Berra right now.
Anyway, yeah, the Golden Days Committee.
Right.
How does nobody talk about, like, I had never thought about it until you brought it up before the show. I was like, yeah, why did they just call themselves like, hey, we were the best?
Yes. 1950 to 1969.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Unbelievable.
Ballot number 80 has just come in. And it has Roger Clemens, I think, because it has him on the picture.
That's cool.
It's like a link to an article.
Yeah, Golden Days era. Shout out to them for their extreme confidence in their 20
In their
years of
era.
baseball. Because like there's what today's game era, like that's
modern baseball. I don't know why modern baseball is named modern baseball too, because it's not. It's like what is modern baseball? I think it's like 70 to 89.
So that's not even right. Okay.
Yeah.
At least so today's game era.
The 80s are very much not modern.
Yeah, today's game era is objective. Early days committee is
That's
objective.
correct.
Like that's correct. It is early. And then
The earliest.
And then Golden Days is like, hey, we got the best.
Okay.
We got the golden 20 years here. Remember
Yeah,
Johnny
modern
Mize?
baseball. The weird part is that the modern baseball committee, which is between 70 to 87, that used to be the veterans committee, and that's actually a factually correct name. Modern baseball from 70 to 87, which is not modern at all. Doesn't make much sense. And then obviously today's game, 1988 to present, that actually is valid. Yeah, there's four different era committees. 2 of them have objectively incorrect names.
Yep. Not enough people are talking about it.
That's the first red flag.
Yeah, right. Not enough people are talking about it, but we're talking about it here on Above Replacement Radio. So yeah. Now we can get into our newly elected and newly, not elected members of the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, which
where Chris has been.
Where I and only I have been.
Yeah.
Definitely
Nobody
not
else has
Daniel
ever been
like
there.
10 times.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you have set foot in that building. You've seen it. You know what it looks like. You know the vibe.
Yeah. I saw a lot of faces I liked, and I saw a lot of empty spaces. I saw a lot of faces. I saw some faces I didn't like, and I saw some spaces that I could see some new faces that I'd like to see.
Absolutely.
That's my review of the Hall of Fame. Plus some good virtual tours of I think the South End grounds, the Comiskey Park and Ebbets Field. Yeah. Comiskey Park, if you didn't know, was host to the first All-Star game.
I'm sure some random little kid out there knows.
Oh, well, actually, I bet he forgot.
He definitely forgot
when he walked
100%.
out. So, I mean, what do we want to get into first?
I will talk about the early baseball election. For some reason, this committee never votes. This is the first election they had held since 2006. Do you know that?
I mean, it makes, I didn't know that, but it makes a bit of sense
It
considering.
makes a bit of sense, but 15 years seems absurd. Like maybe once every 5 years, it should be.
Yeah, once every like
Um,
8 years or something.
Yeah, but there were a lot of deserving candidates here. Two of them got in, fortunately. Buck O'Neil and Bud Fowler were elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame by the early baseball committee, and I think a lot of baseball fans don't have a ton of knowledge on either of them because it's not really taught as much as it should be. I was looking through both of their bios before we recorded and before the election, and it's hard to disagree with either of their candidacies specifically. Buck O'Neil, first of all, like he has his own exhibit in the Hall of Fame anyway. Um,
Yeah,
he does. So I don't know how you could possibly make the case that he shouldn't have a plaque if he has his own entire exhibit. He's basically in the Hall of Fame already. Um, but he played in the Negro Leagues. He played for the Kansas City Monarchs. He's pretty much just one of the biggest Negro League advocates, and just he had a large part in players like Jackie Robinson who broke the color barrier. He retired in 1948 from playing, or at least the last year he played in the Negro Leagues was 1948, which is right around that time. Um, he was an executive. He was just one of baseball's biggest pioneers. He also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom at one point. I don't know how you could. When was he? What was he given that? He was given it on December 7th, 2006, which was, I believe it was right. Was it right after he died? It was right around the time he died.
that's a good question.
I know he died in 2006, October 6th. Yeah, so 2 months after he died, he was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and that was also right after, um, it was right after that last election.
Oh,
So,
yeah, true.
this was the first. As weird as it sounds, this is the first time Buck O'Neil was up for Hall of Fame candidacy ever since receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Yeah, he was given that posthumously by George W. Bush. He was just like, I don't know really what else to say. I mean, he also has his own award, the Beacon of Life Award, or I'm sorry, the Buck O'Neil Lifetime Achievement Award is what it's called. A few people, it's given out around once every few years to certain people that promote baseball and just change its way in society. And I mean, really, like he's just used as a beacon of success in the Negro Leagues and bringing them over to the Major League Baseball, obviously, and especially with Negro League players getting like for becoming major leagues this year. Like they were added to Baseball Reference, they were recognized as major leagues. It's hard not to put Buck O'Neil in the Hall of Fame when he's already done everything that he's done, and he should have been in earlier. But whatever, it happened. And then Bud Fowler was the first Black professional baseball player. He played independent league ball. He started in 1878. He obviously had to deal with a lot in that time. There was an incident where his entire team was fined because they refused to play in a game in which they said like Bud wasn't allowed to play because of the color of his skin. He was also an executive, and I mean, like all you need to know is he was the first Black professional player. This was obviously, I think it was just around the start of when did the National League become a thing? Was that like
1876.
1876. He started playing in 1878, so he didn't quite make it to the National League, but regardless, he was an executive with the Negro Leagues, and he was just another very important figure, a pioneer, someone who deserves to be in, and I'm happy that both of them are in because they both deserve it, pretty obviously.
Yeah. I mean, Buck O'Neil has already made a stamp in the baseball world and the baseball legacy, so it makes a ton of sense that he would get in. Yeah, both of them, like you're not gonna understand their Hall of Fame, their Hall of Fame, what is it, deservedness, like based off of Hall of Fame candidacy,
Yeah.
off of a Baseball Reference page. It's the history of what they
If
the
they're off the
stamp they
field.
made in the baseball legacy and baseball history, which they seem to have made a pretty big impact, enough to have awards named after them and such. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense why they are joining many others in Cooperstown. And then anything more on the early days?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there were some other Negro Leaguers who I think you can make a case for. The first one that I thought of was John Donaldson, I'm sorry, not him. Wait, is there multiple John Donaldsons? There must be, because I clicked on the baseball reference page. Yeah, him. Not all of his stats are actually up, but he was a very good player in the Negro Leagues and independent leagues, just any league that he played in. I think he was deserving as well, but and I know he did get a few votes, I believe, but not quite enough.
Right. To I guess to be negative, and a non-Negro League player, Bill Dahlen get no respect.
Yes, him too. But do you really think the early baseball committee is looking at his 70 B WAR? I agree with you. I wasn't gonna mention Bill Dahlen, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, like
he did hit 272. That is pretty respectable.
That's right on respectable, sir. 77 and a half F-WAR as well.
77 and a half F-WAR, 75.2 B-WAR. Yes, of course that is deserving. I'm not gonna. I don't expect. I mean, I can't expect the early baseball committee to be citing his 110 OPS plus and 10,000 at plate appearances.
Right, exactly. But if you did explain to them, if you did explain to them 272 average with Gold Glove defense.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
I mean, dude, a 358 career on base percentage when he played from 1891 to 1911.
Yeah, he played from 1891 to 1911, and he had 52 more points of OPS than Omar Vizquel. That's not. Omar Vizquel played in the most offensive era ever. This guy played in the least offensive era.
To be fair, he did just miss the 1880s.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe if he had to face old Haas, we're looking at like a 720.
Or actually, okay, Dahlen. I guess you can exclude like 2 years because Dahlen played in 1893 and 1894, and if you don't know what happened in 1894, I mean, no one really knows what happened.
No one really knows, but he did have a 1011 OPS and a 138 OPS plus, which in today's game, that's higher than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s OPS this year.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, like 110 OPS plus and 28 and a half D WAR. But yeah, like
free Bill Dahlen.
True, but it's weird because it's like you can't even use the eye test thing because literally nobody
ever saw this guy play.
Nobody who's voting currently saw this guy play. So it's like all you can do is look at the numbers, and they say he's a Hall of Famer. I can't, it's not the end of the world that he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he should
Bill Dahlen in the Hall of Fame. He was also a manager. He was actually a pretty bad manager based on record, but we don't need to. Maybe that's why.
Hey, great players usually aren't great managers.
He went 251 and 355 in 4 years with the Brooklyn Super Bass and the Brooklyn Dodgers, and then also the Brooklyn Super Bass again.
Yeah. Ted Williams was a bad manager.
He had 36 career ejections in 615 games. Maybe that's why.
I gotta calculate that.
They're like, this guy's just
615
nice
games.
600. Yeah, I got it up right now. 5.8% of games. One in every 20 games.
It was one every 17.
Once a month.
Yeah. Once or twice a month, he was
out of there.
I mean, maybe he was trying to fire his team up.
Yeah.
But
didn't work.
Yeah.
That might be it. I mean, like maybe the writers from from 1920 were like, Bill Dahlen, just a mean guy. I mean, I've heard from many umpires.
Yeah. All those writers had
We
their
believe in the
connections to
character
umpires.
clause.
Yeah, they were all in.
Anyway, Cap Anson, welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, come on in. First member of the 3,000 hit club. We love you. So Bill Dahlen, 2036, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
I think we got to get on that train right now.
Yeah, can I 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee, please. Like, I don't know how I can get on there. It's like, hey, neither me or
you ever watched any of these guys play.
Yeah, neither me or like who would be voting in the early baseball committee. Like, neither me or Buck Showalter have seen Bill Dahlen play. So
Bill Dahlen died in 1950, and that's the cutoff of the early baseball committee.
Yeah. Like,
That's
so
literally
he died in 1950. So if you were alive while Bill Dahlen was alive, you are at least 70.
I highly doubt. I am sure most of the committee was under the age of 70. I am positive most of the committee was.
If you were under the age of 110, you have never seen him play Major League Baseball, which I assume, we do say that we do talk about the average age of a baseball fan, but I would say that at least most of them were under 110.
Yeah.
So yeah, look at the numbers. It's
anyway,
there's no
the
shame.
early baseball committee.
There's no highlight reel of Bill Dahlen.
Is there any pictures of Bill Dahlen?
Yeah. It's like, this is him making a diving grab. It's like, yeah, a lot of people in the league were making that play. I'm leaving him blank. So yeah.
Look at this picture of him standing on the dugout. That's how you know he was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, look at it. Look at his posture. That's a Hall of Fame posture. Okay, so I mean, still some good results from the early baseball committee. Overall, getting Buck O'Neill and what was it, Bud Fowler? Bud Fowler.
Yep.
And then there was
the Golden Days era committee.
The Golden Days, yeah.
The best time to be a baseball fan.
Yeah. 3.3 ERA. Get out of here. Go to the bullpen. And go to the bullpen where you won't be used because everyone's going 9.
Yeah. Go join those other 2 scrubs out there in the bullpen.
Yeah. In case old Steve Carlton is thrown 170 pitches and wants to throw 3 days from now. It's the 8th inning. Yeah. The Golden Days committee, they elected 4 people?
Yes.
They elected 4 people. Not the most deserving guy, but they did elect 4 others. I don't know. Where do we start? I think I'll start. I'll give Minnie Minoso a nice shout out. Like,
I think out of the 4 people that made it, he was the most deserving.
He was the most deserving. He was like his like overall wins above replacement might be a little underwhelming, but I have Fangraphs pulled up. Between 1951 and 1959, the only players with more F4 than Minnie Minoso were Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Eddie Matthews, Stan Musial, and Duke Snyder.
All those guys are Hall of Famers.
Yeah, all those guys are Hall of Famers and like all timers, like no doubt Hall of Famers, like inner circle, like how Jacob deGrom was describing like the Hall of Fame, inner circle Hall of Famers. So like he put himself in good company.
Through a 10-year stretch between 51 and 60, he had 6,500 plate appearances and a 136 OPS plus.
Yeah, and he was very good on the bases, like led the league in stolen bases a few times, I believe.
3 times. He led the league in a lot of random things. Like he led in hits, he led in games played, he led in doubles, triples, stolen bases, caught stealing, slugging percentage once, total bases once, grounded to double play once, and then hit by pitches a million times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. He gets on base.
Yeah. 387 career.
Yeah, 300. wait, 100 387 career on base percentage, 195 times hit by pitch. Yeah, he over 2,000 hits as well in just a little north of 8,000 plate appearances, 299 career average, much better than respectable. And 130 career OPS plus with average defense, as it looks like on the metrics side of things. And given how good he was in the 50s in comparison to everyone else, I think it's like a solid addition to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. This is a long overdue. I mean, isn't he like he was one of the most influential players in White Sox franchise history? He's one of 25 players with a 385 on base percentage and 200 stolen bases. Excuse me, one of 27 players, I should say. Yeah, I mean, he was very versatile. He was, he was also a pioneer for Latin players too. He was one of the first players from Cuba.
Yep.
He led the White Sox. No, not the White Sox. He led the New York Cubans to the World Series in one of their Negro leagues.
Yeah, and
Louis Tiant was on that team.
He strapped it up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah, he also played forever. That was also too cool.
Yeah,
20 years.
He just came in and got some plate appearances.
Mm-hmm.
And
legendary
0 for 2 in his age 54 season, but no strikeouts. So he did get BABIP'd.
He did get BABIP twice.
He got BABIP in his age.
I want to know.
Season.
I'm sure it's out there, but I want to know the story of him just playing 2 games at age 54 after not playing, or even just 1976. Like this dude was out of the league for 12 years, then he just came back to the White Sox for 3 games. Then he came back 4 years later again.
Yeah, the 1976 one makes less sense to me because if you're gonna do 1976, then you might as well do 1980 to do the 5-decade thing. But why did you do 1976 in the first place?
It's like, hey, 40, 50, yeah. Yeah, he played in 5 different decades. Yeah, I mean, he got a hit in one of his at-bats at age 50. Just still, I mean, imagine playing in a game at age 50 and getting a hit, regardless of even if he went 1 for 8.
Yeah,
after 10 overall.
12 years away from Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so congratulations to Minnie Minoso and his family, who are probably going to be giving the speech. And then there were 3 more. We'll get to the absence of Dick Allen after we talk about these 3. Gil Hodges, or I guess we'll start with Jim Kaat.
Okay.
Jim Kaat seems the second most deserving.
There's an argument to be made. I think injuries kept Tony Oliva off the field a little bit. But you can go ahead and talk about Jim Kaat.
Yeah, Jim Kaat.
It doesn't really matter who's the most deserving. The reality is they were all deserving in some way.
True. Yeah, Jim Kaat, interesting career. Greg, in terms of fielding, he was Greg Maddux before Greg Maddux, not necessarily in terms of pitching. A 108 career ERA plus, 4,500 innings, 4,500 career innings. It's weird. And what was his FIP, career FIP? 3.41 career FIP, 3.45 career ERA. We cited at one point
the difference between his B WAR and F WAR.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whack.
Right.
Very, very weird.
Extremely weird. Yeah, Jim Kaat, he's someone baseball fans have grown to know, especially in the broadcast booth.
I was gonna say he's a baseball lifer. He's been around this entire time.
Yeah, he certainly has. And I think, that's something that can probably help him in a ballot like this, how the relationships he's probably built. Not saying that didn't deserve it or anything, I wouldn't have voted him in necessarily. 108 ERA career ERA plus. He did do it in 4,500 plus innings, but it was never like
I was gonna say.
he never seemed to like be too dominant. But the guy seems very like well liked within the baseball world. So good for him, I guess.
Right. Yeah, like I'm trying to figure out this difference between the P4 and F4 because it
Yeah,
is just very strange.
45.2 pitching B war. Because it says 50.5 at the top.
At the top,
but
because that includes hitting.
that
And he
includes
played
hitting.
mostly before there was a DH or
Yeah, and
partially
he was
as an
a
AL. Yeah,
decent
he played for the Twins for very long.
he was a decent enough hitter.
And then 70.9 F4. With and even when you look at his peripherals, I'm not gonna knock on 4.89 strikeouts per nine career because it was the 50s and 60s and 70s. But like 2.15 walks per nine, 0.78 home runs per nine, a 282 BABIP against. It all seems very average for his career. But either way, I mean, 70.9 F4. Obviously, he was also a guy who played in many different decades. He played in 4 of them, and he played consecutively every year from 1959 to 1983, which is very impressive. He pitched until age 44, starting at age 20. Yeah, I mean, he spent a large portion of his life on the mound.
Yes, he did. And yeah, now in the booth, and yeah, he's a Hall of Famer now. I don't know. It's weird to
Also, not to
talk
mention, he
about some of
did
these guys.
you mentioned the ERA plus, but he also did pitch in the most difficult era to accumulate ERA plus.
Correct. Yeah, his lifetime ERA was 3.45.
Which is the same as Kurt Schilling or similar to Kurt Schilling.
Yeah, Schilling's at 3.46, I believe.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, different eras obviously mean different things, but, if you want some perspective on how it looked on the field, that's what it is.
True, very true there. So yeah. So yeah, Jim Kaat elected in. I feel like there was a large campaign for him, like by the other baseball lifers, for him to get in. He seems to have built many relationships. And then Gil Hodges was also elected in with 43.9 B ward. Do you know the details on how many votes he got out of the 16?
I think he
or
got 12.
He got 12 out of
let me check.
16.
Golden Days Era Committee.
The Golden Days.
Results. Yeah, okay, so Hodges, Kaat, and Oliva all got exactly 75%, which was the threshold, and then Minnie Minoso got 87.5%.
Nice.
So, it was just barely. And then Buck O'Neil got 13. Who was not voting for Buck O'Neil? I would love to know that.
Right.
And then Bud Fowler got 75%. John Donaldson got 8. Vic Harris got 10.
Yep.
Bill Dahlen got less than 4 votes.
No respect.
Lefty O'Doul got 5 votes.
I'm telling you, we're gonna try to change that tune 15 years from now.
It was very funny how the breakdown of this ballot went, where it was like Minnie Minoso with 14 votes, Gil Hodges, Jim Kaat, Tony Oliva with 12, Dick Allen with 11, and then everybody else got less than 4.
Yeah.
If you're curious, the voters for the Golden Days Era Committee were Rod Carew, Fergie Jenkins, Mike Schmidt, John Sherholtz, Bud Selig, Ozzie Smith, Joe Torre, and that's for players. And then executives: Al Avila, William DeWitt Jr., Ken Kendrick, Kim Eng, and Tony Regans. And then media are Adrian Borges Jr., Steve Hurt, Jamie Jaron, Jack O'Connell. And then for the early baseball, Bert Blyleven, Ferguson Jenkins, John Sherholtz, Ozzie Smith, Joe Torre, Bill DeWitt Jr., Ken Kendricks, Tony Regans, Gary Ashwell, Adrian Burgess Jr., Leslie Heapfee, Jim Henneman, Justice B. Hill, Steve Hurt, Rick Hummel, and John Thorne. Those are the voters. Most of the early baseball committee voters were media members, and it was mostly players and executives for the Golden Days committee.
Yeah, John Thorne. John Thorne, I'll trust.
Yeah.
Even if he's not like super analytical, but I just see him in every documentary.
Yep. It's like, you know what? He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he'll tell you a nice
He definitely
quip.
voted for Buck O'Neill and Buck Fowler.
Yeah, maybe he didn't vote for Bill Dahlen, but he probably knows a cool story about Bill Dahlen.
There's a chance nobody voted for Bill Dahlen.
Yeah, right.
All we know is he got less than 4 votes.
Yeah,
it could have been 3, it could have been 2, it could have been 1, and it could have been 0. We don't know.
Yeah, I can't wait till like 2051 when Bill Dahlen gets elected and there's no descendants left. And it's like, he retired 140 years ago, but look at that B war.
Yeah.
Look at that F war, 77.5. Pretty sick.
Yep.
Yeah, so Gil Hodges got 12 of the votes. He got what would you say about Gil Hodges?
Well, he was one of the many great players on the Brooklyn Dodgers in the 50s when they won 5 pennants. It was him, Duke Snider, and Jackie Robinson. Those are kind of the big 3, statistically speaking, at least.
And Roy Campanella.
And Roy Campanella as well. From 1949 to 57, he was 11th in the majors in F4 with 38.3. The people ahead of him: Stan Musial, Hall of Famer; Duke Snider, Hall of Famer; Ted Williams, Hall of Famer; Mickey Mantle, Hall of Famer; Jackie Robinson, Hall of Famer; Larry Doby, Hall of Famer; Yogi Berra, Hall of Famer; Richie Ashburn, Hall of Famer; Willie Mays, Hall of Famer; Eddie Matthews, Hall of Famer. Those are all A-list Hall of Famers. And from that period of time, wherein most of them, if not all of them, were at their peaks. Maybe not Ted Williams. Maybe his peak was a little earlier. But point is, Gil Hodges was right there with him.
Yeah, that's true.
And this was also right after the war too, so it's not like anyone had to miss, because it was 49 to 57. So.
Yeah, the only.
And not to mention, Gil Hodges also went to the military. He fought in the war for 2 years.
Yeah, and he only some of that crowd might have gone to Korea, but it wasn't like a thing where over half the league was going to Korea. It was only
that's true.
Select few.
That was most of.
Yeah, it was Ted Williams, Willie Mays, and I can't really think of many other
Did
players.
Musial go to war?
Who?
Musial,
I think he had 1 year in military service. That's what I know from his reference page.
Either way, Gil Hodges, obviously one of the better players on those Dodgers teams, 2-time World Series champion. He was kind of a lifetime New Yorker because he did play for the Dodgers when they moved to Los Angeles, but then he went back and played for the Mets for 2 years.
Yeah, he pulled the old Willie Mays. Like
he did.
After San Francisco, he went to the Mets.
Back in New York. Yeah. So I mean, I think he's definitely, having that sort of like reputation in New York, it's definitely going to help your Hall of Fame case because that is a very important city to be an important figure in. Which is definitely, it's good for him. He was obviously a great offensive player. He had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 qualifying seasons with an OPS plus above 120. During the golden ages of baseball. 43.9 career B WAR, and what was his? He never topped. He got pretty close on the BBWAA ballots. He topped out at 60.1% in 1981. Or excuse me, 63.4% in 1983, which was his last year on the ballot. So he was definitely trending in the right direction when he went off the BBWAA ballot. Yeah, I mean, this is a very, a dynamic player, first baseman and an outfielder, which I feel like that combination was much more rare back in this time.
Yeah, Yeah, right, exactly.
Like it's a little more common now, but 50s, it's like you're kind of one or the other, especially when Duke Snyder was playing first for a large part of that time too.
Yeah, yeah. The induction of Gil Hodges,
He was playing
like
center field.
it it definitely makes sense with
Yeah.
it definitely makes sense with the crew of people vote, like the golden days type people, like he was a big part of the pennant
Mhm.
teams, and he was a power hitting outfielder, or what, outfielder, or yeah, he was
First
an
baseman and outfielder.
yeah, first baseman and outfielder. um yeah, like big part of these huge amazing Dodgers teams. So it makes sense that he would be elected this way. And yeah, it makes sense. And nothing to get mad about,
I
I
think
would
he's like
say.
he's a perfect era committee Hall of Famer.
Yeah, yeah, right up there for sure.
Yeah.
And
And
then
lastly,
yeah, Tony Oliva.
I believe he was a lifelong Minnesota Twin, which was cool.
Yep.
He was an outfielder. Had some injury troubles. Most particularly, he was so. Let me just tell the story of Tony Oliva. From 1962, the year he debuted, until 1971, he had 5,000 plate appearances and a 141 OPS plus. He was awesome. And then in 72, he got hurt early in the season, and from that point in his career on, he had a 103 OPS plus. So clearly that like kind of derailed his career. So I think when you look at the career of Tony Oliva, you look pre-injury.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he got 3 batting titles in that span.
Hmm.
And like he was a big part of he was a big part of that 65 team that went to the World Series. Everyone
Yeah.
remembers them. uh but yeah, got helped get them to a World Series with Harmon Killebrew. And I don't know if Rod Carew is there yet. Maybe not.
Yeah.
um but yeah, that year he won the batting title. He led the league in hits 5 times, and led the league in doubles 4 times.
Hmm.
Led the league in slugging once. Yeah, it is funny. Like he had his best year the year before his injury. Like he could have been taking a turn for even better, and then
Yeah.
got hurt.
Um, he's one of the. He's definitely a. Also another Cuban-born player. Should mention that
Yeah, probably.
during
Yeah,
this.
probably a pace setter there.
Absolutely. Yeah, 3 batting titles, like you mentioned. Led the league in slugging one of the years that he also won the batting title. How wild! You lead the league in batting, you lead the league in slugging, you get 10th in the MVP vote. What a That's tough. That shouldn't happen ever.
Yeah, and
In
you would
today's game,
expect
that's
it.
top 3 minimum.
Well, they were probably looking at his negative 1.7 D WAR in
That's true.
1971.
That's true.
That's probably what they were looking at.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
Yeah. The eye test gave them the defensive WAR. That's what they knew it off the top of their heads. They didn't know. They didn't need to know
Yeah.
on the computer.
Either way, Tony Oliva, one of the best offensive players of his era before his injury.
Yeah, true. I
And
mean, you
for
did
that, like he
mention.
was very much on a Hall of Fame trajectory before that point. A 7-win season in 1970. He
Yeah,
got
like,
second in the MVP voting that year, so at least they got it right on that front.
yeah, you did mention the 141 OPS plus in like his first 5,000 plate appearances or so. Like that's right
Mhm.
on. 141, like you mentioned, with the Larry Walker thing, like you mentioned that as a reference point for Larry Walker and Chipper
That's Chipper
Jones.
Jones. Yeah, I mean think of him like that offensively for the first 10 years of his career.
Yeah, yeah, and if he didn't get injured, maybe he could have gathered more plate appearances, maybe got more like 8,000, and it would have looked
He probably could have
better
gotten in
for him.
via BBWAA if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, very much potentially. Like he had 1,019 or 1,917 career hits. You know, if that injury doesn't derail him, maybe it's closer to like 2,500. And you know, also a guy who
Not to
didn't.
mention, he also had 84 stolen bases during this time, and this was before the time when the stolen base resurgence had started, which was
Yeah, true.
1976. I'm gonna look at for some. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony Oliva was one of 69 players in baseball history with a 140 OPS plus in their first 10,000 or in their first 10 seasons, minimum 5,000 plate appearances. Obviously that's, it's not it's like a medium sized list, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
But still,
there's
when you look up and down this list, it's all great names.
Yeah, there's like
or names that had a great first 10 years, like Prince Fielder. Obviously, honestly, that's kind of a very good comparison, I guess.
Yeah, there's also like over 100 position players in the MLB or in the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
That's
and
true.
there's 69 players on that list, so it's probably mostly Hall of Famers.
Yeah. You got the other Billy Hamilton on here.
Yes.
A lot of these are older guys too.
Yeah, Ty Cobb definitely.
Oh, Ty Cobb very much on there. Yeah, you got
Dan Brothers.
Ed Delahanty's on here. Joe Kelly's on here. Elmer Fick is on here. Elmer Flick.
Yeah, Joe Kelly with an E in the.
Joe Kelly with an E. Home Run Baker was on here, of course.
Oh yeah.
I wonder how many have done it since Oliva. In the last 50 years, he is one of 29 players to do it. Yeah, in the last 50 years, one of 29 players to do that.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Albert Pujols, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, Tony Oliva, hot start to his career, ended up getting injured and being rewarded for, how his career started before the injury, getting in and got the approval of the Golden Days Committee, which, they were in the Golden Days. And it's weird. It's funny. You mentioned Mike Schmidt's on the committee. Like, his career started in 1972.
No, dude.
The era ends in 1969. I mean, I get that maybe not everybody.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. There's I don't know. There's how many? Like, if you.
I mean, to be fair, Fergie Jenkins was also on the early baseball committee.
If you started your career in 1965 as a 22-year-old, you were born in 43. You're 78. I guess you're capable.
Are you referring to Fergie Jenkins?
No.
Really? You just nailed every single part of that.
Wow.
You literally said if you began your career in 1965 as a 22-year-old, that's exactly what he did.
Fergie Jenkins, I will always respect the opinion of. He's
absolutely
very capable.
Anything that man says is correct.
Yeah, he's a very capable person.
I bet he was the one guy that voted for Bill Dahlen.
Yeah, I bet. I bet he was like, I mean, look at this D-War. And you compare that with you compliment that with a 110 OPS plus. I mean, we're looking at
Fergie recently turned 79. Happy belated birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Fergie Jenkins. One of the best social media follows out there, in my opinion. Yeah. Just a bunch of positivity
ever.
Yeah, and he's getting his statue revealed in 2022 in Chicago. So I'm wondering when that's going to be.
Yeah.
If ever there was a reason for me to go to Wrigley, I've never been to Wrigley before.
Chris might catch a flight.
I might have to, and I might have to try. I might bring a sign that's like, from Connecticut to get a picture with Fergie Jenkins.
Fergie Jenkins, born and raised a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
I'll never forget those 1976 to 77 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we were gonna go back to back pennants. Unfortunately, the rest of the team was slacking, Fergie.
Wasn't your fault. We know you had a 122 ERA plus with the team in your career.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, great pitcher. So yeah, that's the those are the players who were elected, and now to the players who will probably not be elected. the BBWAA ballot.
Wait, did we want to talk about the one glaring omission from the Golden Days committee?
Oh yeah, we gotta get into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dick Allen.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Dick Allen. For those of you who don't know, Dick Allen, 7,315 career plate appearances, 912 OPS, 156 OPS plus. And I found a list of players and I'm not even making it like minimum. I'm making it between 6,000 career plate appearances and 8,000 career plate appearances with an
This is the
OPS
Gianta
plus,
test.
with an OPS plus of 150. You got Mark McGwire. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he definitely would be if not for his steroid use. Not even allegations at this point, just admittance. And then you got Joe DiMaggio, Johnny Mize, Dick Allen, Hank Greenberg, Dan Brothers. Outside of Mark McGwire and Dick Allen, all Hall of Famers. You know, Dick Allen doesn't have any of the steroid stuff or anything really controversial.
There's literally nothing. Like, there is just straight up no reason. Like, if Barry Bonds not a Hall of Famer, it's like, well, because of the steroids. Pete Rose not a Hall of Famer, well, because of the gambling stuff. There is nothing against Dick Allen personally, and for whatever reason, he just gets the short end of the stick every single time.
Yeah. Also, from 1966 to 1972, he led the league in weighted runs created plus with a 166, and it's not like he was injured at any point. And like,
he won an MVP, he won Rookie of the Year, he was a 7-time All-Star in 15 seasons. He also unfortunately he passed away last year, and I thought maybe that was at least going to be like, oh, you know, people were going to vote for him because of that. Like, it was already a shame that if he was ever going in, it was posthumously. But now we have to wait even longer.
yeah, he does. And
it is ridiculous.
In the 7-year span that he led the league in weighted runs created plus, he averaged 137 games played a year. So like,
yeah,
it's not cherry picking there. He was full time in all those years. Yeah, like just like you said, a glaring omission.
That's an unfortunate one. That's the one that I was like, if I was looking at the ballot, I was like, well, there's one person who I know is going in, and it's Dick Allen, and he didn't.
Right.
Which is insane.
Right. You're right. And it is, it's Golden Days committee. We heard the names of who was voting. And you know, I guess, probably not looking as much at era adjusted statistics, wins above replacement, and you know, like not looking at, you know, the joke I made was like, you know, why Gil Hodges got in and not Dick Allen. You know, Gil Hodges had more home runs and more hits. That's really the only reason. That's really the only reason you could put him above. But when you look at, you know, OPS, and then you break it down by era and look at, like, you know, Gil Hodges definitely played in a more offensive era than Dick Allen, so he had a bit of an advantage with the non-league adjusted statistics.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It's hard to defend.
Yep. Yeah, it is very much so. I'm glad we could make a little bit of a case for Dick Allen, because I mean, it's like,
I didn't think we'd have to.
There's not much to dig too deep into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
I guess last thing I should look at is like WAR 7. I'm guessing his WAR 7 would be at least like average for whatever he was. I forget what his main position was. First base.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, his peak WAR was above average for a third baseman, which is what they have him as. And his JAWS was like right around there. Yeah, his peak WAR was above average for a Hall of Fame third baseman, I should say. Yeah. he was above average Hall of Fame third baseman in peak WAR. That includes Mike Schmidt. That includes Eddie Matthews, George Brett, Wade Boggs, Brooks Robinson,
Yeah.
all these guys, Chipper Jones. That includes all of them. And he was, above average for a Hall of Fame third baseman in having in their 7 best years of their career.
Yeah.
Quite
do we want to talk about BBWAA?
quite ugly. Do I want to, I do want to, but do I really want to?
No.
Not really.
No, it's the same thing every single year.
It's hard to get too enthusiastic about this.
There has been one positive from this year, and it's the amount of negativity on the side of one player.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I guess for the
wrong
right
reasons,
reasons, but like
Well, for the wrong cause.
for the wrong cause, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Omar Vizquel is
Sitting
he's-
at 10%.
he's
Exactly,
at 10%.
8 out of 80.
What is he minus?
Minus 26, which
Yeah.
is insane. So 20.4% of the ballots were revealed. So what does that put him on pace for? What's 26 times 5? 130. He's not going to lose 130 votes, but he's on pace to lose 130. That's incredible.
Yeah, I could see him losing like 70. That'd be crazy.
I could see him getting to 100, honestly.
Right.
Like these Vizquel drops, they've just been coming in every day. It's not like there was a big wave of them and then it cooled down. Like it's just been very consistent the entire time.
True. And then I guess this election has been good news so far for David Ortiz.
Yeah, and that's about it.
And also
Scott Rowland.
Yeah, and a lot of this is speculation still. Like this is coming in at slower rates than we've ever seen.
It has picked up a little bit. Like at this point, we are right around the usual place that we're at this time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which,
good to know.
Yeah. I'll just go through some quick percentages. So we're through 80 ballots. That's about 20.4% of the ballots that are known. Bobby Abreu is at 12.5%. He is netted -1. Barry Bonds is at 78.8%. He is netted +1. Roger Clemens is at 78.8 as well. He is netted +2. Todd Helton is at 57.5%. He's at +6. Andrew Jones is at 50%. He is netted +1. Jeff Kent is at 23.8%. He is netted -2. David Ortiz is at 82.5%, the highest of anyone on the ballot. We'll talk about him later, but if anyone, he definitely has the best chance of getting inducted this year. And he probably has the only chance of getting inducted this year. Manny Ramirez is at 42.5%. He is netted -2. A-Rod is at 48.8%. He's just below the 50% marker. Scott Rowland is at 71.3%. He's netted +6. I think he's definitely on track to get inducted next year because this is just a very interesting year it's a very crowded ballot, which just leaves, not a lot of room for a lot of potential Hall of Famers. You have Kurt Schilling at 71.3%. It's his last year. He's netted -6. So he's not going to make it. It's not going to happen. Gary Sheffield is at 45%. He is broke even. Sammy Sosa is at 21.3%. He is at +1. We already mentioned Omar Vizquel is at 10% with -26, and Billy Wagner is at 51.3%, netting +3. Chris, what have been your main takeaways from this Hall of Fame season?
Probably the good news for David Ortiz. Somewhat decent news for like Alex Rodriguez. He's getting a little higher than I would have expected because
that's just here. Like I think A-Rod ends up with like 35% of the vote, which is I think where Bonds and Clemens were after their first year.
That's true. That is true.
But also let's remember, like if A-Rod was debuting this year, he would probably have fallen off the ballot. Given his he's obviously a much different case with steroids than anyone else because he has the most infamous case of it. He lied on air. He he got a 200 and whatever it was game suspension because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a very different case.
Yeah, and like actually suspended, actually caught cheating, breaking the rules, unlike as
everyone else except for Manny Ramirez.
Yeah, right. Like actually breaking the rules, as some people don't like to believe, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Sammy Sosa didn't, and Mark McGwire didn't. They didn't break the rules. Even though people think, maybe morally they did. I didn't really care. But anyway, Alex Rodriguez, a little higher than I expected. David Ortiz a little higher than I expected. And then you mentioned there were some like -2s out there for like Manny Ramirez and Jeff Kent. Pretty crowded ballot. So like there were Kent and Ramirez were probably some guys like 9th, 10th options on the ballot who got kicked off because of Ortiz and Rodriguez.
So just to put some things in perspective here, this is kind of what was expected to happen because the last time there was a shutout on the ballot, it was 2013. And then if you look at 2014, which was the next year, you had everyone from the previous ballot returning. You had Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and Frank Thomas, all his first years, all no-brainers. So if you look at some of the drops from that year, Alan Trammell lost 31 votes that year. Edgar Martinez lost 20. Jeff Bagwell lost 12. Rafael Palmeiro lost 10. Mike Piazza actually gained. Tim Raines lost 14. Kurt Schilling lost 14. Lee Smith lost 19. Larry Walker lost 16. It's a big year for drops. I think next year is going to be a big year for gains because so many people are going to be added back onto people's ballots because, there's definitely 4 people that are not coming back.
Yeah.
Because, along with no one going in last year, there was also nobody maxing out on ballots.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's everyone coming back plus 2 definite first years, a couple of other strong first years, Jimmy Rollins getting a few votes, Tim Lincecum, Joe Nathan, Jonathan Papelbon, Mark Teixeira each gotten 1, which doesn't really matter, but they have caught the attention of a very small amount of people.
Yeah. So Clemens, Sosa, Bonds, and Schilling are all gone after this next year, it's probably going to open some things up.
And I think there's only one strong first-year candidate next year, and next year we get to start the conversation of the sign stealing scandals because it's Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yep.
Have you gotten tired of it yet?
Now we got a whole new case. It's like when COVID new variants come out.
Yeah, we got
It's like, oh, you're tired
variant.
of Delta? Here comes Omicron. And it's like, oh, you're tired of steroid talk? Here comes trash cans.
Yeah.
Phase 1, Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, let's go to Carlos Beltran.
Yeah.
His 2017.
Yep. The worst year of his career.
Yeah, but
which as it
should
be, it was the last year of his career. He was 37. He was 40 actually. He was 40 years old. He had an 81 OPS plus.
Yeah,
but he cheated.
How much of his 666 OPS was affected by the trash cans?
Listen, I'm sorry, man. I understand you had 10,522 plate appearances with a 121 OPS plus and 300 stolen bases and 400 home runs before that year. But we can't let you in.
Yeah, and we saw that Athletic article that had some anonymous sources saying that you led the way, and you yelled at
But there was also
AJ
other
Hinch.
ones saying that other people led the way.
Yeah. Yeah, you were like, AJ, I know you're my manager, but step aside. We're banging trash cans.
I know I just got here.
Yeah. But I'm a veteran, dude.
Yeah, I've been around. I've played for the Astros when they were the NL Astros.
Yeah,
I played with Bagwell and Biggio and Berkman.
Yeah, and you know what we did? We banged trash cans.
In 2004.
Dun, dun, dun. Plot twist. Investigate the 04 Astros. So that'll be fun and annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, anything else you want to say on this here?
No, not really.
I
Are
think
we
the
gonna?
biggest I think the biggest concern has been the lack of gains from people. By this point last year, Todd Helton was like plus 12 or whatever. We are through 80 ballots. Todd Helton and Scott Rowland are leading the way with a plus 6, and that is very concerning. Not a lot of people have really budged on their holdovers, or they've kept their holdovers. Actually, some of them haven't kept them, but not a lot of people are open minded to the fact of adding people. Which
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean,
makes sense on a crowded ballot, but especially with 2 first years, like if someone didn't vote for Scott Rowland on an 8-person ballot last year, they're probably doing the same people with Ortiz and A-Rod this year.
yeah, it makes sense. I
Same
mean, there's
goes for
always going to
everyone
be
else.
there's
I think next year is the year that Scott Rowland's going to get in. I think he's going to have a big year with gains, with everyone coming off, and he's going to be one of the best players on the ballot with Bonds and Clemens and possibly Ortiz and Schilling and Sosa off of it.
right, and there's always going to be like the blank ballot people who are like,
Yeah, Steve
like
Marcus.
they're not maxing out on people, but there are people who are maxing out on players they can use, and like when if they're, maybe it's possible they're voting for all 4 guys that are going to be off the ballot next year, who are and then they're gonna maybe add 4 guys potentially. Who knows?
I mean, if I just want to say also, just because we're probably about to wrap up this conversation, if you want to learn more about any specific Hall of Fame cases, we have an entire series from last year where we went over Bobby Abreu, Mark Burley, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Scott Rowland, Kurt Schilling, Billy Wagner, and then all of the steroid guys grouped together. So Bonds, Clemens,
and Omar
Sosa,
Vizquel.
and Omar Vizquel. That's right. Yeah, we went to Omar. That's if you're gonna watch one, I would make that the one. But
Yeah, that was just
if
fun.
you want to learn more about them, we did a really good job. We did a lot of research. We made fair cases on both sides of everyone, I would like to say.
Yeah, if you're sitting at home thinking like, man, above replacement radio, did not do much research for this episode. It's because we did it all last year.
We did.
So head on.
we went hard on Hall of Fame talk last year.
Yeah, head on over to all that stuff last year. It's no point in us repeating everything we said last year, because it's like all of our points stand exactly the same.
We hit everywhere.
Like, because also
episodes.
Nothing has really changed about the Hall of Fame, like the Hall of Fame as it is, except 2 players potentially of us adding on the ballot in this year.
And we both voted for 10 last year.
Yeah, we both voted for 10.
We're not going to be adding anyone except, unless it's a first year. Like, we're not adding Jeff Kent this year. Spoiler alert. I don't think you are. I'd be very shocked.
Yeah, I don't think I am
not.
either.
Yeah. Do you want to reveal? Let's do the reveal of our ballots.
Yeah. Maybe we can power rank them again. I still had
that off the top of my head.
I still had it in my notes from last year, and then I
don't remember mine.
I literally was, children, cover your ears. I was on the toilet readjusting the thing, and it took me literally less than a minute.
Okay, I'll just do mine off the top of my head. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first, because I think I value my Hall of Fame picks maybe a little less.
Okay.
So I'll save the validated opinion for last.
No, you have a validated opinion on this.
I have
show.
a validated opinion, but I think yours is a little more validated, as you've been into this for longer. I've been into this for maybe the length of this podcast being a thing. At least like more hardcore into it, making mock ballots.
I forced you.
Yes.
I was like, Chris, we're going to talk about Hall of Fame, and we're not going to stop.
And I am grateful for it. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a nice new interesting add-on into baseball conversation, I will say. Especially in the off season. It makes the off season a lot more,
especially during a lockout.
Especially during the lockout. It's all we got. This is all we got. Like, what we're doing next episode, big question mark. But we have the Hall of Fame talk this episode. So I guess I'll start with my drops, or is it considered an ad when it's a first year?
No.
Okay, so earplugs, I'm dropping Billy Wagner, and I'm also dropping Gary Sheffield. Billy Wagner was 9th on my power ranking last year.
I think he was third on mine.
He got the boot. Yeah, that was our biggest discrepancy. So that means, yeah, I brought in Alex Rodriguez and David Ortiz, and that is alongside Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Kurt Schilling, Andrew Jones, Scott Rowland, Todd Helton, Bobby Abreu, and Sammy Sosa. And my power rankings are basically that, and I skipped over Rodriguez and Ortiz. Number 10 in my ballot power rankings is Sammy Sosa. Number 9 is Bobby Abreu. Number 8 is Todd Helton. Number 7 is David Ortiz. Number 6 is Scott Rowland. Number 5 is Andrew Jones. Number 4 is Alex Rodriguez. If you want to know my justification for like why I think like Rodriguez is a Hall of Famer, it's basically what you did before 2005 if you are a confirmed steroid user during the time in which they were using steroids. Rodriguez had like almost like 70 WAR in a 9-year period between like 96 and 2004. Pretty undeniable for me. Even if he took steroids for more than half of his career, still pretty amazing what he did while steroids were perfectly legal and non-regulated. And then number 3 for me, Kurt Schilling, one of the greatest playoff pitchers ever, arguably the greatest like playoff starter ever. If I'm thinking correct, maybe not greatest playoff starter ever, but probably greatest playoff starter, maybe number 1 or 2 in the 21st century, along with 80 pitcher B WAR. Number 2, Roger Clemens. Number 1, Barry Bonds. Those are kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear Daniel Curran's ballot.
Okay, so I'll just go over my ballot from last year. Last year I put down Bobby Abreu, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, Manny Ramirez, Scott Rowland, Kurt Schilling, Gary Sheffield, and Billy Wagner. And obviously none of my opinions of them have changed, but I put Ortiz and A-Rod on the ballot this year, which meant I had to drop 2. And I also dropped Gary Sheffield. He was kind of the one I was least passionate about. Defensive numbers aren't very good for him. He was also had the steroid allegations, which is, I don't want to say it helps his case. I don't want to say it hurts it, but it doesn't help it. And then I went back and forth in my mind for weeks thinking about the next player I was going to drop. I had like 3 or 4 different people I was considering. And it was a really tough decision. It hurts me to say this, but I dropped Kurt Schilling.
Wow.
I did. My justification is it has nothing to do with the things he said, his actions, all of that. The justification was that he asked to be taken off the ballot, so I felt less guilty about taking him off mine.
Right.
That's kind of about it. So with that being said, my ballot this year is Bobby Abreu, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Scott Rowland, and Billy Wagner. It hurts that I have to drop people. I've never done it before in my life, and I've been filling out mock ballots for I think 6 or 7 years at this point. But it had to be done. 2 people had to go, and that was kind of just the way it went. So I guess it's an eye for an eye with you dropping Wagner and me dropping Schilling.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, except the difference is that I can't just add Schilling back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Wagner he'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah. I'm not forgetting about you, Billy.
I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. But
I bet it did. Like he's a great pitcher.
He was a great pitcher. Like statistically speaking, he deserved to be in, but if he didn't want to be on the ballot, I felt like it was okay for me to take him off and not feel super guilty about it, even if I was gonna bring him back.
Yeah, like even this year, I'm not as lobbying as hard on social media because it's like he's not even defending himself.
Yeah, like he doesn't care. Like he didn't want to be here. So why? And like, you know what? I need space. Why don't I just take the guy who doesn't want to be here off here?
Yeah, right. Like it's yeah, it's hard to be as passionate about the Curt Schilling Hall of Fame case as I was, last year and 2 years ago.
It's like that's when I realized, like, when he made that announcement or when he made that request last year, I was like, wow, I care more about this than he does.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's a sign that I should not do that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've edited more videos about his case than he has for sure. Um two more. Um
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. I mean, yeah. He's definitely still on my ballot just based off of like, you know, how like I just I had to look like at how awesome of a pitcher he was. Like
Mhm.
I think he's better than I think his like pitching career at least was more dominant than like John Smoltz and Tom Glavine.
It
Um,
was. This is the first year that I didn't vote for him.
right.
Like
Like,
I've been there every single year.
but when exactly like I completely understand your point. It's why I'm not as passionate this year. It's like,
Hmm.
and when I heard he was -6, I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
why would he gain? Why would writers be like, you know, when he said that he didn't want to be on the ballot and that he didn't respect our opinions, that's when I was like, you know what? That 3.46 ERA looks a lot better now.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
It
oh,
would have
that
been very funny if he got voted in this year, though.
Oh, I
That would
was
have been.
hoping the writers would have had a sense of humor about it,
It's like, you know
being
what,
like,
guys?
oh, you think we're not so valuable? How about how you gonna feel when you're in the Hall of Fame then, huh?
Who are you gonna thank during your
Yeah, who are you
speech,
gonna
huh?
thank? Um, yeah,
That would have been very funny, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
yeah, he like they vote him in just so he has to thank the writers. But he'll be on Today's Game Era along
Yeah.
with Bonds and Clemens.
That's gonna be such a stacked ballot, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I think Fred McGriff is going to be on it. Let me check who was on it last time. Today's game. Last time the Today's Game Era committee voted, they took off some of the star players like Lee Smith and Harold Baines. So it's like that opened up so much room for a lot of players, but then they just restacked it.
Yeah, that's great. It
Um,
might be more stacked than the actual BBWAA ballot. Well,
yeah,
at
there's
least
like,
at the top, maybe not,
could
depth
you imagine
wise.
having Bonds and Baines on the same ballot? It's like, how am I like, this is just too much.
Yeah, it's like I want to vote for both. Um, yeah, so Hall of Fame ballots from us revealed. Not a whole lot of movement. We had to make some tough decisions. I'm not forgetting about you, Billy. Billy,
Yeah.
2023, you and me. We're in it together.
On the Today's Game Era committee ballot last time, Lee Smith got every vote. He got 16 out of 16. Harold Baines got 12 out of 16. Lou Piniella, Albert Bell, Joe Carter, Will Clark, Oral Hershiser, Davey Johnson, Charlie Manuel, George Steinbrenner. How does George Steinbrenner get fewer than 5 votes? That's actually astonishing to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised that wasn't talked about.
Like less than 5, you're telling me that like the greatest, most well-known owner in the history of the world?
Oh wait, okay. 1 second as I apply chapstick.
Yeah.
I want to look up when he was owner. I mean, I guess yeah, because the 4 out of yeah, didn't they win 4 out of 5 World Series? That
Yeah.
makes sense. But like he's most famous for what he did in like the 70s and 80s, which was like they won 2 World Series in the 70s, but it wasn't like
I'm
they
pretty
were
sure he was
crazy
also there
good.
for 09. Yeah. He bought the
Yeah.
Yankees in 1973 and owned them until he died in 2010.
So yeah, he won
How?
7.
He won 7 World Series. How does he
Won 7
not?
World Series. Right. Yeah.
That's insane.
I feel like he's most famous in my head for like firing Billy Martin 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was the owner of that 4 out of 5 World Series winning dynasty in the free agency era.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won 7 World Series and what, less than 40 years? Yeah, less than 40 years. Yeah, that's weird. It's pretty weird.
And most of them coming in the expanded playoff era too, where it's like you actually had to go through a lot to get to the World Series and win it. Not just like, oh, you finished first in your division, here you go to the ALCS.
True, yeah. Yeah, built those teams.
Like those are like two of them. And even in one of those, they had to play a tiebreaker game to get to the ALCS.
Oh yeah, the 78.
Yeah.
78 World Series. Or 78
That's
the Bucky
crazy.
Dent game.
How does George Steinbrenner get fewer than 5 votes? And
Yeah,
Harold
that's pretty
Baines got
odd.
12. You really want to tell me that Harold Baines contributed more to baseball history than George Steinbrenner?
But that 1983 AL West title, who can forget that?
True.
He was one of the leaders in that on that team.
One of them.
Oh yeah, that reminds me, we got to get our professor on.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe soon, because like we don't have 3 working mics at campus.
That's true. Well, we also have another professor coming back on to do one of the greatest segments in ARR history soon.
Yeah, a little teaser there. It's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be a good one.
It's definitely like very, you know, you got to do this.
It's very ARR. It's so us.
It's way too us. You're absolutely correct. Like, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. It's Buck Showalter comparing Yasmani Grandal to Ted Simmons. That's how us it is.
New York Mets manager.
Yeah. It's funny that I think that had to be the last game he broadcasted too.
Yeah. Yep. Reminds me of the great Ted Simmons. That might have been my favorite moment of the postseason.
Oh, that was an all-time.
Like it wasn't watching the Red Sox go on an improbable run. It wasn't like the Chris Taylor walk-off home run, the Braves beating the odds and 3 different teams that were favored against them. It was all those comparisons that were just so absurd and ridiculous.
I might go on MLB TV to watch the other half of the game.
Yeah. Hey, you can listen to Hall of Famer Jim Kaat on that call too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that broadcast booth had a big winner. One got hired by the Mets as a manager. One got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like 2 of the biggest things you can do in baseball.
Yep.
Hired as a manager, inducted into the Hall of Fame. So shout out to those guys. Just winning in 2021.
By the way, I mentioned this to you earlier, but I thought it was so funny how like the Mets got so much praise from the media for hiring Buck Showalter, and it's like he's just been sitting out there for like 3 years, and so many teams could have hired him if they wanted to. It's like the Mets.
Talked about it.
Yeah, did we talk about it on the show? I thought we just talked about it like off camera.
No. We talked about it in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
How like more than 20 teams have changed managers. I'm pretty sure
the Orioles fired him. Yeah. It's like
fired
they
him.
found this guy. It's like everyone knew him. Everyone in baseball knows who Buck Showalter is, and everyone could have hired him. And the Mets are like the 20th team that eventually took the flyer.
Yeah.
And especially when you consider like it's the Mets, where it's a team where every hire they've made in the last like 5 years has ended up being like a terrible person with off the field issues. And it's like, you know what? Let's just hire the safest person possible. Like every single person knows who this guy is. So if there was something bad about him, it would have come out already.
That's true. Yes.
It'd be very funny if right now it's like it's like someone in like 1978 is like, actually Buck Showalter was a terrible person, believe it or not. Or he just gets a DUI now at like however old he is. Right.
Yeah. Like, what do you even say there? He's not a Hall of Famer baseball person. It's like, yeah. I'm an AL East winning baseball person.
I'm a 3-time Manager of the Year winner.
Yeah. Did he actually won Manager of the Year 3 times?
Yeah, dude, it was 1994, 2004, 2014. So he has a 3-year deal with the Mets. So you know what that means in that last year.
Right. Yeah, as a third-year manager, he's gonna.
I think it was all with different teams too.
Yeah, 94.
That would have been the Yankees.
Yeah, Yankees. Oh yeah, he was
2014 Orioles, 2004 Rangers.
Huh. Did the Rangers make? I don't think the Rangers made the playoffs that year.
No, but they went 89 and 73.
Yeah, and they probably had a bad. Yeah, they definitely had a bad 2003 because they traded A-Rod. They were like,
They
"We
were
can't-"
71 and 91. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, it's not worth having this guy for on this contract.
Yeah, it's he never got one with Arizona. Wait, how did he not win 1999 Manager of the Year?
Yeah, they were an expansion team the year before.
That is, hold on.
Was it
1999
the Mets manager? Because I know
NL
the Mets.
Manager of the Year.
The Mets had a good year, 99.
It was Jack McKeon.
The
Marlins?
Marlins? They won the World Series 2 years before that. Maybe it was because
They definitely didn't make the playoffs. Jack McKeon. No, Reds. Oh. Okay, the 1990 Reds went 96 and 67, finished second in the NL Central, missed the playoffs. And the year before were 77 and 85. But the 100-win Diamondbacks, who succeeded the 100-loss Diamondbacks, did not have the Manager of the Year. That doesn't make sense.
this is like Jason Bartlett level.
This is Jason Bartlett 2.0. How in the world? And like Jack McKeon wasn't like a new name by any means. Like that was the second team he managed. Actually,
I'm tweeting it out now.
It was the fourth. It was the fourth team he managed. It was the fourth team he had managed. He started managing 25 years prior. This is not like a breaking news. This guy is actually pretty good. This is not a breakout season for him as a manager. Let's see.
I'm
How
tweeting
many
it out
times?
now. I'm
I
trying
don't
to
think
get
he
this
ever made the
trending.
playoffs except for the 2003 Marlins.
It's going out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Why aren't we talking about Buck Showalter being robbed of the 1999 NL Manager of the Year? Tweet.
I'm
I've never
retweeting
been
this
more
immediately.
confident in a tweet in my life. I don't think.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. What a shame. I mean, I've always distrusted the Manager of the Year award. But this is a new low for that award. I know it happened 22 years ago.
That
But
doesn't make
still.
any sense. I mean, like, did the 1999 Reds have a bunch of injuries?
Yeah, did
Mike
they?
Cameron and Barry Larkin and Sean Casey were their BWAA leaders, which makes
So Barry Larkin
sense.
was there. That was the first person I thought of.
Yeah,
Barry
Mike
Larkin.
Cameron. Mike Cameron with a 105 OPS plus was their BWAA leader.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, what?
I'm
not seeing. I mean, I don't know.
that's
I'm
terrible.
not seeing any like glaring. That's the BBWAA messed up.
Did Jack McKeon like get over like a disease during the season and not miss a game or something? Like I don't even know if I'm joking there. Like that's the only thing that if he like got over cancer in the middle of the year without missing
Then that's
a game,
valid.
then like yeah, he didn't have to show any improvement of the team. Then he gets Manager of the Year. But if it's not for that unlikely reason, Buck Showalter got robbed.
Jack McKeon's still in baseball? What? Hold on, I'm seeing an article from 2019. Jack McKeon takes job with Washington Nationals at 88.
Well, I remember he got fired by the new Marlins ownership group, and I'm not going to blame it on Derek Jeter, by the way, because he gets all the blame, even though he's like 5% of the ownership. But like, yeah, he got fired by the Marlins, like right when they came in.
They do. They fired Jeff Conine.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it, man. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Buck Showalter took the 65 and 97 Diamondbacks in their first year of existence and then turned them into a 100. I guess they did get Randy Johnson the previous offseason.
But he can
only go every fifth day. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's like They got Luis Gonzalez too, but even then, Luis Gonzalez had a career year his first year with the Diamondbacks. He never had an OPS plus above 128, and that was in 77 games with the Cubs, so that doesn't even count. He never had an OPS plus above 123, and that was in 1993. And in 1999, he had a 952 OPS, 138 OPS plus. I think the only case to be made is that their two best players were like additions from the previous season, which I mean they only existed for one other year. Like, of course, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the
true.
best response I can come up with.
Yeah.
It was pre-Schilling too.
That's tough, especially like, that's a team that that made the playoffs, made an impact, made some noise.
They won 100 games.
100 games after
in their
winning
second year of
65.
existence.
Like
after
Randy
losing-
Johnson and Luis Gonzalez ain't gonna make all that difference.
It's like we talk about the Rangers this year. It's like, yeah, they lost 100 games. They added, they added 2 position players, but it's like they're not gonna be that great. This is like the Diamondbacks are like what the Rangers would be like if that actually happened.
Yeah, if Chris Woodward goes out and wins maybe 95 games this year.
You're really telling me he's not manager of the year?
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. What would be like the Reds equivalent of that?
Of a team that didn't do much. And
like, if, I don't know, like if the Tigers, probably if the Tigers like win the same amount of games and they give it to AJ Hinch, I would still vote Chris Woodward in that case.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the Tigers did add a little bit. I'm trying to think of like.
That's true.
Well,
the Reds were a 77 win team, I think, the year before.
This current installment of the 2021 Reds ended up with what, 82 wins?
Something like that.
So if they went out and won like 101,
Well, I mean, still they're not going in the same league as the Rangers. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking AL teams.
So maybe Cleveland.
Maybe Cleveland, yeah.
If they went out and won 100.
But the Reds didn't even win 100. They won less games.
But even then, like Terry Francona he wasn't there last year, so I guess I don't know.
I don't know, man. This is insane.
This is breaking my brain. I hate to end on such a negative note.
This is. I mean, like the funny thing is we've never liked manager of the year anyway.
Yeah, and here's why. It started in 1999, the year before we were born.
Yeah, my God. This is just an embarrassment to the sport. Oh, you know what? The Reds went 8-1 against the Diamondbacks that year.
Huh. Wait.
I think that's it.
Did we get a voting breakdown of like it must have been
in 1999? No, I don't think so.
I'll go to the 99 awards. Well, actually, I'll go to Pedro's reference page, and then it'll guide me to the 99
That's
awards.
True. Yeah, I'll do the same.
I
mean, Buck Showalter had to have finished at least second, right?
He had to have.
Can you imagine if he just like didn't get a vote?
Yeah.
That would be messed up.
So, NL Manager of the Year. What the heck? He was fourth
place.
He got one first place vote.
Are you kidding me?
Are you serious? Larry Dierker, who managed 61 games, got more first place votes and finished higher than Buck Showalter.
Bobby Cox. Who managed the same team for 10 years?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, only his 26th division title in a row.
This is a joke, dude.
This is an abomination.
You know what? I've never really believed in West Coast bias, but this might be West Coast bias.
Yeah, West Coast bias against for sure.
Like baseball fans like from the West Coast always talk about how like the East Coast gets more attention. I've never really believed in that, but this might be the number one case to be made.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me right now. He was fourth. Jack McKeon of the Reds, Bobby Cox of the Braves, Larry Dierker of the Astros. How good were the 2001 Astros or the 1999 Astros? Okay, he went 46-28 with them. That's what, a 622 winning percentage. I guess that is better than the
I don't know.
Diamondbacks
It's like
here,
pretty
right?
good. It's pretty good, but man.
It's right around the same as the 99 Diamondbacks. They were 617. It's 5 percentage points higher. That's
Yeah, and he played
ridiculous.
100 more games.
As a second year expansion team too.
Second year expansion team, first year
That's
manager. Like
second year manager. He did manage in 99 in 98 as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's
Still,
true.
that shouldn't matter.
Like we have Randy Johnson. Yeah,
Jack McKeon was not a first year manager, and Bobby Cox definitely wasn't either.
yeah. Like I guess Randy Johnson and Luis Gonzalez. Like you add what, like 15 wins from that. Like 15. Like they probably combined for like 15 wins above replacement or something like that. So that would have been 80. And then you got
They won
20
100.
more.
They won 100. This is the biggest offense might be Bobby Cox. Even if he won 3 more games, it's like the dude was managing the same great team for 10 years. And this was even a down year. Or no, it wasn't. It was 99. I mean, they did. Okay, never mind. For some reason I was thinking 01 because that was the other good Diamondbacks year.
Yeah.
They won 3 more games the year before.
The Braves did?
Yeah. They won 106 games in 98, 103 in 99.
Yeah, I'm sure it was really tough
104 in 93.
for Bobby Cox with John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Andrew
For like
Jones,
the
and
8th
Chipper
straight
Jones.
year.
Yeah. With 5 Hall of Famers. Well, 5 should be Hall of Famers
Yeah.
on his team.
Compared to Buck Showalter with a team in its second year of existence.
Yeah, they had Randy Johnson. Like the only Hall of Fame caliber guy they had was Randy Johnson. Okay.
Bobby Cox already had more 100-win seasons than the Diamondbacks had seasons at that point.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's insane.
It's very true. Like, yeah, good manager, but it's like, we know how the manager of the year is determined. It's like who had the biggest difference in wins from year to year.
When did that change? The fact that he didn't win is enough. The fact that he got 4, he wasn't even a finalist.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, well, I guess, yeah, Davey Martinez wasn't a finalist.
But that was still like, okay, you won 93 games. And you came back from
They won like 80 the year before. Or something
don't get me wrong, he should have won Manager of the Year that year, but this is an offense on another level. 100-win season, second year of the franchise's existence, 65 and 97 the year before, and you're not even a finalist.
So Bobby Cox won Manager of the Year 4 times. I'm trying to find the years. I don't know. Oh yeah, 85 with 85 AL, 91 NL, very understandable, and then 04 NL, 05 NL. It's like, oh, you lost Greg Maddux and you're still good. It's pretty wild. Okay. Like I said, I hate to end on such a negative note.
That is so bad.
Truly it is.
That might be the worst thing the BBWAA has ever done.
Yeah, absolutely. They've ever done in their, what is it now?
100 and whatever it is year existence. I think it was 1910.
They started in 1910? Because I know Hall of Fame started in 36, but yeah, they had to come around.
1908. I was 2 years off.
1908.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
They saw what Hannes Wagner was doing. They were like, we got to write about this.
Yeah, Hannes Wagner and Christy Mathewson.
Yeah.
Yeah, in their 113-year history, maybe the worst thing they've done. All right. Well, so we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're listening on an Apple Podcast, Spotify, anything more to say? If you're
this is what the shows are going to be like until the lockout ends.
Yeah, I don't know how much we went on this 1999
Your tweet was 12 minutes ago.
Yeah, I sent the tweet 12 minutes ago. We've probably been talking about it for at least. We probably talked about it at least 15 minutes total. if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, we are currently on Zoom and releasing video episodes. So
We are for the next couple weeks.
So go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you want to see all the Hall of Fame breakdowns are on YouTube isolated, so you don't have to go inside the episode and figure out when we were doing Hall of Fame breakdowns. If you want to go into bubble case breakdowns of 10 different players on this current ballot as it stands, go to the YouTube channel, find that playlist, also subscribe. And also, if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta, and follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you kind of whenever, maybe sometime next week, where we're talking something about baseball.
We're talking.
So we will see you then.
This conversation is over.